Hey guys, it's Rhea Michelle, and welcome to yet another beautiful day that God has blessed us with. I know I've been absent for a while, so I apologize for my inconsistency, but I was reading through the Gospel of Matthew, particularly Matthew 17, and I was reading through verses 17 through 20. Basically, in this verse, this is where Jesus was healing a demon-possessed boy. So there was a man who came up to Jesus and the disciples and asked about healing his son because his son has epilepsy, and he kept casting himself into the fire, sometimes casting himself into the water. And what ended up happening is the man said that he brought his boy to the disciples and asked him to cast out the demon. And unfortunately, those disciples, it says in verse 16, so I brought him to your disciples, but they could not cure him. And Jesus, of course, answered in verse 17, O faithless and perverse generation, how long shall I be with you? How long shall I bear with you? Bring him here to me. And of course, Jesus was able to rebuke the demon and cast out the demon. And in verse 20, that is specifically that verse that jumped out to me. It says that, I say to you, if you have faith as a mustard seed, you will say to this mountain, move from here to here, and it will move, and nothing will be impossible for you. This is something that is key because I have found myself lately just looking at little mountains in my life. For example, you can say like, all right, there's this mountain of debt, or there's a mountain of misunderstanding, or a mountain of something that is just standing in your way from getting to a goal that you have in your life. And we say, oh, well, I came from an impoverished background, so unfortunately, like, this is how I'm gonna live. Or I came from a family that continues to have this issue in the family where we're not able to get married, or we're not able to maintain a healthy marriage. So I feel like that's probably gonna end up happening to me. Or the doctor told me that I'm not able to produce any children. So I'm just going to sit here and cry about it. And I'm not going to use my faith to see if God has something else in store for me. So there's mountains after mountains after mountains that we can think of in our own personal lives, and I can think of in my personal life. But the next part of the verse, in verse 21, that I forgot to mention, it says, however, this kind does not go out except by prayer and fasting. So basically what that means is that we can't rely on our own self-power, I guess you could say, in order to move these mountains. We have to rely on God's power to move these mountains. And not only that, we also have to have that faith. So faith plus God's power equals things that we can do that may seem impossible to those who are looking in their carnal view or their view of just the human side of things. But in the spiritual view, you'll be able to accomplish all these things. So our thing that we need to do is shift our focus and our perspective away from the mountains and more so onto what we can do to increase our faith and keep our eyes on the Father so that we'll be able to do these things instead of complaining that, oh man, like I'm still stuck in this part of my life that I don't want to be in. Because God has the ability to do anything. We know that. And it's just our perspective that we need to change so that we'll be able to accomplish these things. And I know God is waiting for us to do it. So I hope this was encouraging to you guys. Thank you for sticking around, even though I've been absent for a while. And I hope that everyone is doing well, staying warm, and staying healthy and safe. And I'll see you in the next one.